playing strictly the role of devil's advocate, are we sure that the Players Association is doing and has done all it could to negotiate in good faith with the National Football League? I ask that question because we all know that the relationship between Roger Goodell and DeMaurice Smith is so well documented as it pertains to their tension with one another, their abrasiveness towards one another, what have you. They might argue over a box of cookies, for crying out loud. I mean, it just gets that bad between those two guys. And so what I ask is this, especially think about the times that we're living in. And please put me up on the screen so I can see both Domonique and you know, Damien when I'm talking about this, fellas. In the government right now, we have situations going on where states want to reopen and states want to move ahead, or, you know, you got some other states that want to stay closed. They want to shut things down. They want to scale things back, like in California. But instead of demanding what specifically relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, all of a sudden you're hearing about other ancillary demands that are coming to the forefront because people are using it as an opportunity to get other things that they couldn't get before the pandemic, right? So what I'm saying is let's parlay that to football. Is it possible that the owners, or at least some of them, you come to the conclusion, of course, the times that we're living in, safety measures, safety protocols, or what have you, these things need to be addressed. But the people that you're negotiating with, because of the abrasive relationship, is suddenly bringing new demands to the forefront that we all might not be aware of that may be influencing the absence of an agreement. Is that possible? I don't know.
Yeah, I will be forthright, and my experience probably makes me somewhat biased. But I think that anyone who is reasonable could understand that who is speaking out is not DeMaurice Smith. It's the players who are speaking out. And you can reasonably look at this situation and come to the conclusion that the people who are driving the union are the players. The people who are driving the league are the owners. And it stands to reason that I think any person who is being honest could understand that the players have genuine concern about their health risks because the players are going to be exposed to the COVID-19 pandemic in a way that the owners will not be. And you can look at the owners and understand that they're isolated from this. They will not be experiencing this, and you could understand that it's likely that the thing that will impact them most is their bottom line. So they are more motivated by that. I would ask you, do you think that the owners would be doing the same thing, would be negotiating from the same position if they also had to expose themselves as much as the players had? I don't think that they would, personally.
Okay, let's get Damien in here. Go ahead, Damien.
Well, listen, I think, first and foremost, like any business, everything is driven by money. And you could just point to a couple signs in these back and forth negotiations. One, the players talked about they want to be tested every day. The owners are balking at that. They don't want to test every day. You know why? Because testing costs money. Okay, that's an added expense. Two, we talked about preseason. The owners want 2 preseason games. The players want no preseason games. The players want basically a truncated like off-season program weightlifting session for 21 days, and then another 10 days without pads, and then another 14 days of padded practices to get acclimated, and then jump into the regular season. So all you have to do is connect the dots here. Okay, preseason, that's money in the owner's pockets. So when you lose preseason games, that hurts the bottom line. So as much as we talk about player safety,
we can focus down on that one in particular just to drive the point home, because preseason games are games that the high-profile players will not be playing in, and the revenue from preseason game goes into the salary cap. So if I cared about money potentially as a high-profile player, I'd be like, sure, preseason games, let's do it. They care about health and safety. That's why they're doing that. The acclimation period is about reducing injuries, because coming in off the lockout, we didn't have the proper time to acclimate ourselves, and there were a lot more soft tissue injuries and torn ligaments. So I think that it's clear, if you just look at what they're asking for versus what the other side is fighting for, it's quite clear. There's no ambiguity about it. One seems safer. No preseason games seems safer than 2 preseason games, but it's going to cost money.
Well, Let me say this to you. First of all, I appreciate you reminding the audience that the players are speaking out. The Drew Brees, the Aaron Donalds of the world, the Russell Wilsons of the world. That's very, very important because it's not about DeMaurice Smith. I was asking you about the Players Association because I know your connection to the Players Association, and you would know. That's why I wanted to throw that out there. That's number one. So you were very right to point that out, and that's a huge deal, particularly considering how the election went about and how dudes were ticked off at DeMaurice and stuff like that because remember when the election was going on for your new executive director, and he ended up maintaining his position. So clearly the players are running the show. Number two, I don't give a damn about preseason games. I completely side with the players. There shouldn't be any preseason games right now. There really, really shouldn't. They're professionals. Be ready for the regular season, and that should be that. And last but not least, I got a solution to this, y'all. I got a solution to this.
All right.
The players should negotiate and mandate that the owners have to be in attendance during training camp.
I'm fine with
Let
that.
it be there.
I imagine
it ain't about money.
Changes.
Y'all come on over here.
Yeah.
Y'all come on over here with us. Make sure that whatever y'all got us, y'all got to stay here with us.
I think that changes the incentives.
We'll see what happens then.
If they want to share in all of this, I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
That changes the incentives. I think there'd be a lot more incentivized to make it
Changes
safer
the incentive.
if they have to show up and
Changes the
expose
incentive.
themselves to the same thing that the players have to expose themselves to. And I think DeMaurice Smith is leading the union at this moment from the executive director's position, but the players are the ones that are speaking out at this moment. And as much as I respect and love my time at the union, there's several things that we can go into that I do not like the way that things have turned out. So I'll see what happens going forward, but it's hard for me to understand a way where anyone could look at this issue and suggest that the players are possibly using this to gain leverage for overall negotiations when it seems clear that all they want is a safe working conditions.
And we ain't asking, by the way, for 70
having
years,
you on
Molly.
the show and,
we ain't
and
asking
giving
for
us that context. What?
We ain't asking for 70-year-olds to be in the locker room and all of that. So we understand that. All I'm saying is, whatever posh facility you can find, little hotel room, whatever the case may be. In other words, when practice shows up every day, this environment that you asking the players to go into, get your behind there.